Hi, Deb. What you working on today?
I've got to do a little roller texture print of a viney leaf. I've already pre-rolled it with another little pattern and got a background on there. Now I'm going to do a more refined pattern on top of it. And I'm going to put a piece of paper on top to sort of keep the whole thing together. I've already set the depth. So it's always a surprise to see what actually happens. Oh, didn't do much. Just a little bit.
Not exactly what you were after?
Not really, but you know, I don't know what I'm gonna get.
Debbie's annealing another piece of silver. She's decided to do another run at the embossing of the silver to get the pattern she likes. Sometimes we have to experiment a few times. Now she's getting it to a nice red hot, we call it cherry hot. And then, whoops, she plunked it in her acid bath to quench it and cool it in the expanded molecule position that the annealing accomplished. So it's a nice thick piece of silver stock, sterling silver.
Yep.
The paper stencil didn't work well. Okay, so
So
now
I'm going to make a bronze stencil. So I'm going to cut a strip of bronze, and then I'm going to cut the pattern out, and then I'm going to use the bronze to roller print through the rolling.
So you're actually going to cut the pattern into the bronze.
Yeah, so it'll have a negative of what the impression is that I want to put on the silver.
Okay, so that sounds like a lot of work.
Yep. Which is why I tried to do it with the paper first.
Okay. You're going to carve a nice big strip there. Well, Deb's new approach is to draw the pattern on the bronze, and then she's going to use that in the roller. And that will stand up to the pressure quite a bit better than the paper did. Although the paper is a tried and true method for subtle texture, it didn't give a strong enough texture. So she's transferring that really cool viney pattern, and then she's going to laboriously hand pierce the whole thing. And then, sorry Deb, and then she's going to roll it out. Now, did you think that was funny?
No!
But sometimes we really have to just try some different techniques to really get the result we want. And this is a custom piece for a client, and we really want it to be great and come out the way Debbie envisions it and the way the client envisions it. Till later. There we go. So in every place that's going to be sawed, we need to put a hole to get the saw blade through. So before you can put a drill bit to it, you have to center punch it, or the drill bit will just chatter and not get started making a hole. Oops, there. Oh, that's a baby drill.
It's a baby drill for a baby blade.
So you just need a hole big enough to get the little saw blade in.
Okay, now I have to saw. So I'll be feeding my saw blade. I'm using a 5/0, which I have a dozen of them here. If I go through a dozen, that's it.
What happens
farther.
if you go through a dozen, Deb?
I stop.
Then you're done sawing for the day?
Yes.
It looks like one, can you show, oh, there's actually 12 drill bit, saw blades there.
Yeah,
and
that's a dozen saw blades. If I go through a dozen, I quit working on the project.
Okay, well that's a good, self-limiting way to do it. I suppose that reduces some frustration. Now she has to thread it through her hole. Okay, well, she's going to do the same thing. She's going to put it in. She's going to tighten it down under pressure. There we go. And she's still going to test the tone. Harder to do when it's threaded through. However, we are confident that her technique was good. Okay, now we start to saw. bugaboo though. For every hole she has to stop and rethread the saw blade. So this is going to take a while. Now Deb's using a different bench pin she uses for some fine work, extra fine work, because it allows for a little bit more support, because the slot where she saws is narrower and it supports the work a little more closely. There, it's a brass one actually.
It folds out of the way.
Oh, there it goes.
So
Yeah.
I don't whack myself in the noggin.
So clever. Here's a little thing we try to do is protect our fingers. We use the bench pin to do that. The saw will theoretically stop where the bronze begins, and you keep or the wood if you're using a wood pin, and you keep your fingers beyond that point. So if the saw frame runs amok, you don't slice your finger to the bone, because these little blades are super sharp and literally would just cut you to the bone in an instant. It's been done. How many blades now, Deb?
This is the 4th.
Okay. Well,
But I'm almost done. I've only got
see,
3
let's
leaves
see.
left.
3 leaves. Let's see them.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at you go.
Little
Looking
tiny. You can see it better from the back.
looks great.
Yeah, I've cleaned the edges up. I've gone through and kind of just done a little.
Oh, you're adding actually surface detail.
Yep.
So you get sort of a multi-level print.
Yeah.
Oh, show us the side view there so you can see the relative thickness. So the silver's on the bottom, sterling silver, and the bronze is there on the top. Okay.
So I've set the rolling mill, the rollers, to the level of the sterling plus the level of the bronze, so I can get it through, but the paper is going to take up some more of that space, so it should be fairly hard to roll it through.
Yep. Can do.
Okay.
Yes, he's already.
Oh, let's see what we got.
Okay.
I have no idea. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Wait. Let's see.
Yes,
Oh, now that came out great. Let's get it.
No, that's actually more like what I was after.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
and even the other part came through too.
Yeah, your grinding part.
Yeah.
So literally, you've embossed your metal.
Yep.
That's an interesting. Cool. Okay. You're controlling it with your foot pedal.
This is the seam that I sized the ring at. Instead of sanding it, I'm going to stipple over it.
Oh, good idea. Okay, Deb, now what are we doing?
Just trimming up the edges and tidying things up. So.
Did you get it to the right size?
Yep.
Brown better. Wow, I love it.
I'm going to do an oxidation on there too. So
Yeah, that's going to make it really pop. Okay, and this gets more components put with it, so it's going to evolve nicely.
So it's going to have several different components. The embossed silver ring is just one of many things that are going to go on here. So I'm tacking the white gold on with hard sterling solder, and then I'll fill in with the medium sterling silver solder. And when you're soldering, or when I'm soldering silver and gold, I always use silver solder, and I try to heat the silver components so that, because the heat will automatically go into the gold.
I like using a solder pick as well. A lot of people place the solder in little snippets or pallions, but I tend to use a pick more. So moving the flame around does a couple things. It gets your heat more even, but things that are big or more mass will heat up more slowly, but they cool more slowly. Things that are smaller cool up quicker and heat up quicker and cool more quickly. So you have to balance that flame movement to get the big piece hot and the little piece not too hot. And moving around can allow you to get everything going at the same temperature.
So I have it tacked in 3 spots, and now I'll pickle it, and then I'll flow medium solder in there. Grandmother, and I melted down her mother's wedding ring, and diamonds and bezels will be sprinkled about
Wow.
in such a way that this slides right in between them.
Okay, so she had an inspiration, and you've taken it. And Deb's assembling more of the ring. She's putting the yellow band that she rolled out of the family jewelry over the embossed piece and the shiny piece. Beautiful. I think it will too. I love this part of jewelry. Deb's getting ready to do the stone setting on this piece. It's looking fantastic. Look at that, the embossed. Okay, Deb's fitting some of the diamonds in with a little bit of wax to hold them. That's how we fit.
So I have to spread that bezel.
So she's stretching the bezel with a hammer. Fitting the stone again.
Yep, big enough.
Not yet.
That's
Dapping tool to
There's
use.
a 3.
Little ball dapping tool in there and hammer a little bit that flares the tube. Try the diamond again.
I have to reseat it. Yeah, that's good.
That's good. Well, Deb is using her hammer hand piece and hammering the bezels down around the diamonds. Of course, very carefully. You never want to hit the tool onto the stone. Hit the stone with your tool. Tends to make for broken things.
Next step is to burnish the inside rim so that it's nice and clean. It just puts a nice, really clean edge between the bezel and the diamond, so you don't have a lot of chattering. You don't have a chattery line. You clean it up, it'll be really round.
All right. Okay, Deb, how does this piece actually work into the whole project?
This is the engagement ring, and it will sit next to this area in here so that the emerald cut sits right in
Ooh.
the center.
Great.
So it'll be gold, where this is silver. You don't want gold sitting next to silver because it'll wear it out faster.
Okay. Well, Deb, I guess the ring's finally finished. What are your final thoughts on it?
I think it turned out really well. I'm very happy with the texture on the sterling and the soft sort of leafy pattern that shows up, and the mother's band that fits in there, and the different shape of the engagement ring. I think it all works out really well.
Wow, she's going to be amazed. Anyway, thanks for all your hard work, and can't wait for the next project.
Yeah, it's coming along.
All right.